And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Everybody who's traded has gone through periods of time where their strategy hasn't worked.
Where if not a hard stop, you should reevaluate the trades you're in based on time.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Good morning and happy Tuesday to my futures family and friends. It's time for the market prep. My name's John Hoagland. As always, thanks for trusting me with your time. Our focus here is always on seeking accurate context, good risk management, and remaining patient in our trading. If you're already in the markets, hopefully you've got things going your way. Things kind of quiet here this morning. We've got the 7:30 trade balance numbers out already this morning, slightly smaller than expected, but always seems to be too much. 11:40, Chairman Powell will give his speech to another Washington oxymoron, the Economic Club of Washington. As far as what's going on this morning, stocks sharply steady, mixed. NASDAQ still just a little bit higher, S&Ps and Dow a little bit lower. Dow down 117, 118 points already this morning. Kind of looking like we're opening steady to lower here. Again, we're just in early trade here, awaiting Chairman Powell's speech and, of course, the State of the Union address this evening. Earnings today. BP came out with mixed numbers. Nintendo missing on both. Royal Caribbean also with mixed numbers. After the close today, seems to be every young person's favorite restaurant. Chipotle is due out. Prudential Financial and a Farm Machinery Corporation all due out after the close, among a cast of many others, of course. It seems the specter of increasing Chinese demand for crude again has raised its head, sending prices higher by about 1.5%, 1.7% now, up $1.26 here just prior to the opening. VIX this morning up a little bit, 1958, leaking back towards that 20 level. Dollar index up a little bit, 103.82 last I checked, and the yield on the 10-year continues to creep to the upside, 3.66%. As always, make sure you hit that lucky like button. Share, comment, question, feedback, heckling, and love are always welcome. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you get notifications when we do go live. The rooster, first in the room, crowing again this morning as first in the room. You win the prize, rooster. Timothy Marks. Kevin, yeah, it seems to be one of those hurry up and wait mornings, right? Waiting for Chairman Powell to speak. And then, of course, the State of the Union later on this evening. I'm going to watch as much of it as I can. Yes, kind of a double feature, right, Kevin? Naveen, good morning. Shaw, Caprice, Anthony Bell, good morning, everybody. Alejandro, good morning. Jay Brahman, Haggle Matters, Dan Trader, Caesar, Anthony Bell. Not a fan of Kramer's, but it's unique that he pointed out the same Fibonacci time replacements that called the October bottom are lining up in February, mid-February, calling a top to the markets. Interesting. Sarah Hall, good morning. Prayers and love to you. Anthony Hall with those numbers here. 4,200 to 4,300 max. Bill Phillips, Jason, good morning. Rooster. Octorabs, Charles, Kevin Laffey again. Terry King, good morning. Hey, Randolph's here. Good morning, my brother. Love you. Jules, Bear Goes Long, good morning. Mia, good morning. Rusty Golfer, JT. It is an oxymoron, right? Sean, Trading Research. Travis, good morning. George. Lacey is saying good morning to everybody right now. She's got her squeaker ball. Apparently, she's feeling spry this morning. Stephen, good morning. Don WV. Good morning, my guy. Vince, good to see you. Robert, Will, Hope everybody stays flat and safe till the last word is spoken. Matt Reed and Don Clements. What time does Powell speak? 11:40 Central Time, 12:40 Eastern Time. What would that be in Pacific Time? That would be 9:40 Pacific Time. You guys have to get up really early to catch these early markets, don't you? All right, so it's always a pleasure to see everyone. We do have Make Hogue Money after the prep here this morning. I'm going to bring that link up so you can join me on the Zoom meeting if you would like to be able to vote for the trades. Interesting session yesterday. The evening session seemed to be a little bit tougher. Let me find this here. I got to get the link. I'll put it in the chat. There we go. Now we've got it. There we go. So there's for Make Hogue Money right after the market prep. We'll try and get that started as close to 8:20 as possible. We're going to jump into the charts relatively quickly so we get some time to get prepared for Make Hogue Money. All of those that joined the group coaching session yesterday, I thought it was a really good session. There's some really good, important questions. We'll be doing that again tomorrow at 12:30. All right, let's jump into the charts here, starting with the daily and the E-mini S&Ps. I saw somebody already noticing that we did lose open interest yesterday. Okay, that's interesting information, right? So here we've got 2 days of losing open interest in the S&Ps. 10,000 on Friday. Another 15,000 contract loss yesterday on a pullback. Is the auction to the downside succeeding? Is that remains to be the question, right? We talked about the fact that the December high here, we failed to hold above that. We are holding upside structure. We're seeing a decrease in volume and open interest for 2 days here on a pullback that lends itself towards a weak downside auction and a potential move back to the upside. So the pullback is feeling to me a little bit hollow. We're not bringing in business. We're taking out business in the downside direction. This, of course, can change at any time, but just noticing this has me, again, kind of going to really be looking to stay patient today because, of course, we know the markets are kind of focused on 11:40 and then again tonight. I think there is much to learn this week in these equity markets. I think we're going to find out if we're really going to reject higher pricing or if we're going to turn around and accept it later on in the week. So what do we have? We got an inside trading day in extended trading hours. Again, hurry up and wait. Here's the 30-minute chart. Just pointing out here again that the short time frame upside structure still remains intact. Here's the 30. So yesterday's range-bound day, we are inside regular trading hours, or so it seems, certainly extended trading hours. Don't really have much as far as overnight inventory. Maybe we've gotten a little bit short here, but very low volume even for the overnight. Where are we? Well, we're in the middle of the range from yesterday. What was yesterday's range? Range-bound. I'm going to have to try and stay patient. I'm looking at yesterday's low as an area that I would be interested in looking for an opportunity. Yesterday's high, again, an area I would be looking for an opportunity. Maybe the overnight low could be an opportunity for us as well. But I think in large part we're in short time frame control. So short time frame control levels, short time frame levels are likely to be respected. The problem is there's usually a lot of them. I think we're lucky today. We only have a couple really that I'm that interested in. In other words, the overnight low, yesterday's low and yesterday, and our overnight high. Take a look at the TPO chart. 13 TPOs wide. This is the overnight session. I'm going to take that off just so we don't get confused by that. Every half hour traded to this level, to the point of control, volume point of control, TPO point of control. The market was extremely range bound yesterday, so it did a lot of facilitating trade, but trade started to slow. We lost volume, we lost open interest. When I see a market like this, it tells me that a change is certainly coming. Direction is, of course, unknown. So I'm going to be focusing on our low from yesterday as well as our overnight low for opportunities. If we take out the high and accept above the high, there may be some decent repair from Friday's session. This is it's a normal variation day. Neither of the IB high or low remained on either side. So when the market does that, it has a tendency to create days like this. We opened, we couldn't close the gap. We looked below the initial balance. We failed. The auction to the downside failed. It turned around and moved all the way up to close the gap. This auction to the upside also failed. Buyers wouldn't buy it anymore. Sellers took over. We just rotated between the high and low all day long, which if you make that assumption and you trade to that hypothesis, you can make money in both directions all day long. It's difficult. Most traders are looking for big breakouts and beginnings and continuations of trends. But if you recognize, and one way to do that is when the initial balance is penetrated on both sides. This was a very small initial balance. I'm really surprised that the market remained as tight as it was as far as the day session range is concerned. But nonetheless, that's where we're at. So we're still in range. We're still now currently in value. Stay patient. Again, focus on the extremes of yesterday's session to look for opportunities. And then, of course, when Powell starts speaking, ACH, baby. ACH. Anything can happen. Stay tuned to as the market turns. But the fact that we used up so much energy in two-sided trade yesterday leads me to believe that some changes are coming. I sound like Game of Thrones. Winter is coming. Winter is coming. Well, it's here actually, but it's actually really warm here. It's 40 degrees out. My yard is a muddy mess. Got to wipe the dog's paws off every time she comes in. No, we're going to Crude now. Here's the daily in Crude. So yesterday, we left excess at this low. We added 28,000 in open interest, new business coming in. But that's not unusual for crude oil this year. Looking at the spreadsheet here, all but 2 days so far in this year have been positive open interest. We have added 20% more open interest since the 3rd of January. 20%. Almost every day has been additional in open interest. This market is gaining a lot of energy with all of that increased open interest. We've added 364,399 contracts since the beginning of the year. 20%. That to me says there's something big happening in pork bellies. I mean crude oil. So we have an excess low yesterday. We added a whole bunch of open interest. Is this a reversal pattern? If you add up these two bars, if this bar closes higher, it's going to lend itself more towards a reversal pattern. Now we've got information, of course. We always seem to get this information that, China's going to be demanding a lot more crude, whatever. And, that's good information, but we're going to be trading what we see. What we see here is we maybe put in a bottom here by open interest and the excess low here on the daily chart. Take a look at the 30-minute chart. Overnight inventory to the long side, we're going to be opening with a gap. There is the distinct possibility with this that we can repair a lot of the holes and the unfinished business from Friday's look to the upside and then the route to the downside. So again, gap rules apply here. We've got, a gap. We're just opening now. If we can't close the gap, we're looking for opportunities to look for longs. That information that we got yesterday about open interest increasing on an up day after a dive and some excess on the low, we saw some buyers yesterday. Are those buyers going to stay in the market today? Watch Delta too. Watch Delta on the daily or on the 30-minute chart. If we continue to push higher and Delta is negative, that may indicate longer time frame buyers. If you have the ability to see Delta, we forgot about the TPO chart. Normal variation day, extreme of the regular trading hours, the high of the initial balance. P-shaped would indicate short covering, but we had more than just short covering yesterday. We added another 28,000 in open interest. Now we've just opened with a gap. Repair to point of control here, to point of control here. That would put in a higher value and a higher overall day. NASDAQ. This reads almost exactly the same as the S&Ps, which is not always the case. These markets are related, but so different in so many ways. But this looks a lot the same as the S&Ps. We've got overnight in open interest lower, 3,500 loss in open interest. Well, we did something like that in the S&Ps as well. We've got an inside extended trading hour range. This market is waiting. Short time frame structure to the upside still remains. Here's yesterday. We are inside yesterday's regular trading hour range. We are bordering value. We don't really have a whole bunch of overnight inventory. Yesterday's high and low are the extremes that I would be focusing on today prior to Powell's speech. Powell's speech can change everything, and we know anything can happen. Here's the TPO. So very similar to the S&Ps, right? We've got both extremes of the initial balance being penetrated, but those auctions failing. We're still inside those failed auction extremes. These are the extremes that I will be focusing on throughout the day today if I was going to be trading the NASDAQ, which most of us know I don't because it's too fast and gives me heart palpitations. Nobody wants that. Do we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 TPOs wide, 13 wide in the S&Ps. Maybe a little bit more expansive yesterday in the NASDAQ, but still a prominent point of control that may come into play at some point in the near future. So, very similar to the S&Ps. While we're in yesterday's range, I'm going to focus on the upper and lower extremes for opportunities, nothing in the juicy middle. In this case, if this were an Oreo, I would prefer the crusty chocolate cookie instead of the gooey inside. That gooey inside makes everybody nice and warm and fuzzy, but it doesn't do much for trade locations. Gold. We lost 7,500 in open interest yesterday. What did we do the day before? We lost open interest, and we lost open interest. Losses here, losses here, losses here. Instead of bringing new sellers into the marketplace, it's taking care of old business. It's liquidating longs more than bringing new business to the downside. Yesterday, we have a kind of a confused day. Well, we know we're waiting for something. Inside extended trading hour range today. Weekly low, last week's low is going to be somewhat pivotal. It was supportive yesterday, but it hasn't been reached yet today. Indecision is what we're feeling here. The market's come off. It hasn't brought in new business. These moves to the downside because of the losses in open interest have been hollow. Hollow. Got to keep an eye on the U.S. dollar, of course. Well, here's our 30-minute. We're inside extended trading hours. We looked a little above yesterday's regular trading hour session range. If we do move to the upside, there is a lot of potential repair to the upside. If we accept below last week's low, there's space to the downside as well. But right now, we don't have any overnight inventory. We're in range. We're in value. I'm going to be suggesting, of course, as you all have heard millions and millions of times, we're going to stay patient because we've opened in range, we've opened in value, and we know we're waiting for something to happen later on. I'm not even probably going to be thinking about doing anything in gold unless we get a test of last week's low. If we start taking out our overnight high and yesterday's overnight high, that might incite me into something as well. But again, just like that Oreo cookie, I'm not doing anything in the middle. So the euro had been piling in open interest to the upside. Again, yesterday we lost open interest. We lost open interest the day before. That was approximately a 8,000 contract loss on this day, another 2,500 contract loss on this day. This market does seem like it's hollow to this point. However, weekly kickoff low is an area where I'm looking for incitement from longer time frame traders. We are currently trading below that level and looking like we may see some continuation here. What we're looking for is acceptance below this level. This is kind of a two-step market state break with this kind of weak trend line here. We've broken below this. This is the real straw that could break the camel's back here, is if we accept it down below weekly kickoff low, and it looks like we're working on doing that as we speak. So we looked below it yesterday, closed just above it. Settlement was 107.47 and a half ticks. We're opening with a gap. We've got overnight inventory to the short side. We got a point of control from way back here that still remains kind of in play, but we're opening with a gap. We may come back and recheck this point of control if we can't close the gap or accept in range from yesterday. We're looking for this market to continue this move to the downside. It showed acceptance through time overnight. It is now showing acceptance through time in regular trading hour session below this important inflection level. So I'm looking for new business to continue to push this market lower. If we do not see it, if we don't bring in new business to the sell side, I think we're going to run out of selling here relatively quickly. Here's the TPO chart. Okay, continuation, of course, losing open interest, obviously a B-shaped profile, long liquidation. It does have a poor low. There's a weak low on this. Well, we are now down below that weak low. The one thing about this profile that makes me a little bit nervous for shorts is it's not showing a lot of confidence. There's a lot of anomalies in this profile from yesterday that don't, a confident downside market doesn't leave anomalies. A little holy here on Friday as well. But we're going to trade what we see, and right now we've got a gap, and we haven't closed the gap. We're looking for opportunities to trade in the direction of the gap until proven wrong. Again, acceptance in range from yesterday would change that. The 10-year lost 32,000 in open interest yesterday. Another hollow break. This is important though, because if we did incite longer time frame activity, they got out of a bunch of longs yesterday. This 200 session moving average on this daily chart really seems to be supporting price, at least for now. It was certainly targeted yesterday. So here's that push to the downside, long liquidation. Where are we now? Well, we've got a little bit of overnight inventory to the short side. Looks like we've closed the gap, but the gap without acceptance inside range from yesterday can be resistant. Take a look at the TPO. Excess at the high, no excess at the low. Okay, we've closed the gap. By a tick. Got a kind of a weak high here. It's still very early in this session. Watch the yield, of course. But if we had to take a pick, we have excess. We have excess. We have no excess at the low. Accepting lower pricing on the open. I'm looking for opportunities to sell strength unless, again, we re-accept inside value or range from yesterday. What are we doing here? This natural gas. We added 15,000 contracts yesterday on a kind of a quiet and small range up day. Did we find buyers here? Look at what we have here on the 30-minute chart. We have a late spike. Look at that last 30 minutes. Big volume that last 30 minutes. How about the TPO chart? Here's our late spike. What is a late spike? It's all day long. The market just kind of rotated here. At the end of the day, the range was extended and did not have time to show acceptance in regular trading hours. So we look at this as a late spike. We've opened above the late spike. That's the highest probability of acceptance of higher pricing. Now we could pull back to the base of the late spike, which is down here about 244, and still look at this as a positive move. The IB extreme low here. Excess, late spike, open above the late spike. It's starting off like it's going to close this gap or test to a support area in the late spike. Oh, these markets. All right, so you guys have some good conversation going on here, but thinking the ES is done on the upside. If these aren't really the highs, what are they? 4,200. We were there for a minute. Can anyone see 4,400? Well, that's kind of what we're talking about, Will, is I'm always monitoring the success of the auction process. And so far, this pullback off our high from last week, I don't think has been extremely successful as far as a downside auction is concerned. We're losing open interest. Volume has dropped from Friday to yesterday. We know we've got some things coming out today. That can just be a process of the hurry up and wait type of situation that we're kind of in. And pork bellies, which you may find on a bacon and lettuce and tomato sandwich, Kevin. So that's what I'm talking about. I think this week, later on this week, we're going to find out a lot about how the market is treating this downside auction. Yes, it's a failure on the downside. Now, if we can bring in new business, new sellers to the downside, then I think we may see this market turn around and head back lower. But what we're seeing so far is not a very successful downside auction these last couple of days. All right, well, let's get ready for Make Hogue Money. We've got about 5 minutes till 8:20. I'm going to do my shuffling here and make sure that we are ready and prepared. I will have it open hopefully right at about 8:20. Let's talk about the markets. Let's take a look at some trades. Let's see what we see. Looking forward to having a couple of people that would like to talk, be able to talk, and let's have a good session on Make Hogue Money, of course. And if you are going to be trading today, manage your risk, be patient, look for the right opportunities. Let's have a good trading day today for everybody. Remember to keep your inner dialogue positive. There's no stupid, there's no should have, would have, could have. There's only, what can I learn from this? So let's have a great trading day. I'll see you in just a few minutes. Otherwise, I'll see you for the coach's playbook or the reflection at the end of the day. But looking forward to seeing how things go for you. We are looking for your success. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Say a prayer for peace. And let's get out there and have a good trading day. Trade well.